We'll try and keep up, people, because as we approach the end of the Euros, more transfer updates are coming through. And Robbie, who bless his heart, gets up really early every morning to get all the latest news, did drop a transfer day. Like I said, lots discussed in that video that you should still go and check out. Still very relevant. But the news about Dan Bentley, which we only covered a couple of hours ago, actually maybe even an hour ago, the Dan Bentley stuff, that all happened, which we talked about. The rejected bid, £50,000, by the way. That's the reported fee according to Sky Sports. I said in that update, I said, look, I don't know what the fee is, but apparently they want 1 million wolves. We did hear about that from Alan Nixon. So what do we know in terms of this fee? I wasn't 100% sure, but 50,000, like, I mean, that's like Luis Suarez 40 million plus one, isn't it? But at least we were offering 41 million, 50,000 for a Premier League goalkeeper. But you know what? I mean, who am I? Like, I don't care. If it gets you the lowest price, then, you do you, Arsenal. Let's see. And like we said, we had confirmation that's for a third choice. But anyway, I just wanted to cover that because we did talk about that on the channel. Let's just give you an update on Eddie Nketiah, because according to Santi Auna, Marseille have come in for Eddie Nketiah and are exploring the deal with first positive exchanges having taken place already. Now, let me just say from the very off how reliable this is. There's people I know who follow this transfer stuff who say, he's very reliable. I can't think of any Arsenal news in particular that has been really well covered from that source, but that doesn't matter. I just want to be very upfront with you all about that from the off. In terms of what I make of the Marseille Eddie Nketiah links, really interesting ones because I could see how that's a really good move for Eddie in terms of the club, in terms of going to a different league, in terms of did they just appoint De Zerbi? I think they did. I think they just appointed De Zerbi. So anyway, I could see actually Eddie doing quite well under De Zerbi, playing in a system that plays sort of similar football, has similar philosophy to Mikel Arteta in playing out the back and, a lot of positional play and that kind of stuff. I could see Eddie fitting well there. But the reality is where this, potential deal doesn't make any sense is purely in the fact that Eddie Nketiah, well, forget Eddie actually, we'll come to Eddie, Marseille, I don't know if they can afford it. I mean, Arsenal, we did a breaking news on this channel about a month ago saying that Arsenal were looking for about 50 million for Eddie Nketiah. And I think that would, if they were to pay anywhere near 30 million, I think that would be Marseille's record transfer. Let's do some on-the-spot research, shall we? Because this is just a live reaction. Marseille record transfer fee. Go on, we're going to have this in 10 seconds. Record arrivals, here we go. We're going to find out. It's Vitinha, centre forward for 32 million euros. So what's that? 26, 27 million pounds. Dimitri Payet came in from West Ham for 23-4 million pounds. It looks like. Just sort of translating the euros to pounds there. Kevin Strittman came for around 20 million. Renan Lodi, but look, these are not ridiculous fees. They haven't cleared the 30 million pound barrier that Arsenal, I think, would be hoping as a minimum to get, and have put out there that it's going to be about 50 million pounds that they want. So, do I see this as doable for Marseille? I mean, maybe. I mean, who knows? Maybe they want to make a statement for their new manager. It is De Zerbi's gone there, right? De Zerbi, Marseille. Yeah, cool. De Zerbi's gone to Marseille. So I'm just wondering, is that even feasible? Would it have to be a loan or a particularly structured deal? Is it a £5 million loan with 25 million to come or 30 million to come? And so I don't know how they look to do it. It depends how much they rate him and how much they really want him. But it feels a difficult deal to do for Marseille. But maybe they can. Like I just said, they've spent money on players. And actually, I think the fee you're likely to get for Eddie is around the fees that they have paid for some of the most expensive signings, that 20 to 30 million pound mark. I think asking for 50 million is Arsenal's tactical negotiation standpoint, if that makes any sense, to ensure that they get as near to that 30, 35, maybe 40 million pound mark as possible. You put that high fee up there so that you're dragging everyone else's kind of what they're willing to do, up a little bit too. So, Marseille, we will see. We'll keep an eye on that. That's an interesting development. I do think things will pick up on the sales front. We have been having other news that Robbie's covered on this channel. The other stuff I wanted to talk about is actually in terms of Eddie and other suitors for him and other clubs in the Premier League, because that's where it feels like the money we'd want for Eddie would come from. Of course, he's been linked over the years to Crystal Palace, Everton, Fulham, maybe. I can't remember if Fulham were. We know that Fulham want Smith Rowe. So that's interesting, right? I mean, are Arsenal essentially going to try and progress conversations with other clubs in the Premier League who might be able to put a little bit more up front? I mean, that's another interesting thing. What if Marseille said, we'll give you 30 million, but we want it to be a loan for the first season and then 10 million for next summer, and then, whatever. They might break it up like that. Other clubs might go, well, we're willing to put 20 million pounds up front. And again, I can always say this. I want to just always reiterate this point. Of course, I don't really know the inner workings of these transfer deals, but we know that they are structured, and we know that clubs try to finance it in a way that works best for them, to either give them the most they can get out of their budget now, or maybe they want to put more up front to try and secure the deal a bit better. And it feels like Premier League clubs might have an angle from that sense. So yeah, we'll keep an eye on that. I mean, just on Eddie himself, things had gone a little bit quiet. It felt like things were picking up more pace with the likes of Emil Smith Rowe. Everything on the Eddie front went a little bit quiet since we heard about that £50 million price tag, and maybe that's the reason. And I think Eddie. I think Eddie's going to move this summer purely because if you look at how that second half of the season went, Arsenal just started to move beyond using him in that role with Havertz, Jesus, and even Trossard. I mean, I think a lot of people forget that Trossard started as a false nine a few times last season, and when we beat we beat West Ham 6-0, Havertz went into midfield with Trossard up front, and they had like a good thing going. I think Burnley away did a similar thing whereby Trossard was the false nine dropping into midfield to give us an overload, and then the striking, the whole left by the striker was then, taken by Havertz, who was bursting through midfield and into those striking positions. They had quite a good thing going. I think Arteta likes to look at partnerships and combinations. And the thing I'd say about Eddie is, I don't know where that partnership and those combinations have been built with certain players where you think, okay, well, if we've got him in the team, then we've got to get Eddie in. But that's also me just talking about all this as a bit of a stretch, if I'm honest. The reality is that he just, struggled to have the impact that Havertz did in the second half of the season, that Jesus has had over 2 years, and that Trossard basically had in, the real part of the season when we needed some form, we needed clutch moments. Trossard came up with that, being an experienced player as well. So yeah, I'm quite torn on where I think this is going to end up for Eddie, because I also think there's every chance he stays. Arteta has this thing where he sort of has moments with players where he's like, no, I'm trusting you again now. And then suddenly he doesn't. And with Eddie, he was starting a lot of last season. Let's not forget that, when there were other options like getting Jorginho in the team to move Havertz up front. He didn't opt for that. He opted for Eddie up top and started him in the City home game, the Tottenham home game. So who knows? He could change his mind if ultimately the deal isn't right for Arsenal. I don't think they'll force themselves to do the deal. Eddie only signed a new contract 2 years ago. So I imagine there's about 2-3 years left, probably 2. And Marseille, I don't think will maybe pay the money Arsenal are looking for, but maybe they will. Like I said, they want to make a statement. So who knows? If you're an expert on all this, please let us know in the comment section below. And yeah, people, we're just bringing the news here. We're just bringing updates when things are happening. We will just let you know what's being said via reports, social media discussion, whatever. Of course, there'll be a Talking Transfers live tomorrow on AFTV, where we will discuss all of these details all these deals in detail, from Calafiori to Smith Rowe to Eddie to Nelson to Ramsdale to Dan Bentley, the lot. So go check us out live tomorrow at 5 p.m. Many, many thanks. Catch you soon.